This is Product Design 101 by me, Santos Fernandez. A bit about me: I am the business lead of tech and product at Zebedee, which we'll talk more about. The goal of this presentation is to define why product design matters, what product design is, and how to get started with a high-level overview. To top it off, we'll design from start to finish a Bitcoin Lightning Network paywall. So first, before we get started, about Zebedee: we power real economies in virtual worlds. We're a 50-person plus company, veteran Lightning company, 100% remote, combined 50 years of experience in fintech and gaming, and we're pioneering new Lightning frontiers. Why product design? Well, to solve problems that real-life people face in a way that's beautifully simple. What is product design? To me, product design is the productization, and it's something that solves a user's problem, converting it from a process into a product that could be executed repeatedly. So product design is the process of making that process beautifully easy, simple, and useful to the user. How do we do product design? What does that process look like? So first, you define a problem, and then you complete like a brainstorming or brain writing exercise to generate ideas on potential solutions to that given problem. After you have a list of different solutions, you can narrow it down into the least amount of ideas or features that you would need to provide the user value. So then you take away these ideas and you start thinking about what interfaces might I need to give to the user for them to understand what it is that I'm doing for them, and what would they need to complete in order to achieve their objective, which is to solve their problem. After you complete a sketching exercise, you can begin thinking high level by mapping out some user flows or user journeys. And user flows are essentially the different set of steps through a UI and the types of UI, user interfaces, that they might need in order to complete their objective. And then the way that I like to think about user journeys, within those set of steps, what scenarios might they run into during their journey? So as an example, there are typically success cases where the user is successful in solving their problem and completing the set of steps that you design. But you also must ask yourself, where might the user get confused? Where might the user submit bad data? Where might this flow fail? And we also need to account for designing those solutions as well. Or not solutions, but journeys. The next step, you now have a decent idea of what the interface may look like, but it might be a little rough around the edges. That's okay. At this stage, we'll begin putting a little bit more detail and understanding into what UIs might make up the different user journeys. After we complete wireframing, we can move on to storyboarding, mapping out what flows might, for all the different user journeys, like what set of flows of user interfaces will help demonstrate the user journey in a very detailed manner. Then, once we have these different flows, we might discover different steps that we may not have previously thought of when we were thinking a little bit more abstractly or high level. So then we can begin high fidelity designs and actually design what the user might click on, what information they might input, how they can interact with the set of designs in order to solve the problem. And once we have all of the interfaces designed in a way that we want them to be built, we can then prepare a prototype and show what the the entire user journey is, as closest to reality as possible. So that's a bit about the product design process and what it might look like. So now let's build a paywall application and see how this actually looks in action. Alright, so here I have a little brainstorming exercise. The tool that I'm using is called Figma. It is an industry standard tool for product design, and I find it to be incredibly useful and valuable. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. We have a set of instructions. We don't really need these instructions. We can go ahead and delete them. What I like to use this exercise for is just generating some ideas, just getting them out on paper and then deciding, which ideas do I want to move forward with. So thinking about a paywall, let's see here. Actually, I think I might have missed the slide on accident. Let's see. Oh, no. So I actually forgot to build the paywall slide. So first let's answer the question, like, what is a paywall? So a paywall is something that will block access to a piece of media or content. So like, for example, a video, a blog, you can see them all the time on different like news sites where you go there, like for example Wall Street Journal, and they tell you that you need to pay for a subscription in order to view the content. That's essentially what a paywall is. So now we're going to think about like, how do we do a paywall for the Lightning Network? So getting started, if we wanted to design this paywall, we would need a list of all the media that's available for purchase. So I'll call this media list UI, because it's a list of media in a user interface. So we'll call it that. So then we need perhaps a product detail page, which this describes in depth what the user is considering purchasing. So, okay, so now what other information might they need? Well, they need a purchasing flow. So we need a buy UI, which the buy UI has to have, or the goal is to show a QR code and/or button that allows the user to purchase something with a Lightning Network wallet. Okay, so then there's definitely that case. Then thinking about what else would they need? Well, they would need a way of knowing that their purchase was successful. So a success UI, a way of telling the user that their purchase was successful. Okay, and then we actually need the content itself. So a content UI, or we'll call it media detail UI. So this is the actual media that the user wants to consume after paying for it. Okay? So what happens if something goes wrong? What if the user doesn't pay a charge? Let's say there's an expiration on the amount of time that the user has to pay. So like or maybe like the payment fails for some reason. What does that look like? So we need an error UI. Potentially there might be a different way of even approaching this, which we can explore. So their purchase failed. Okay, so I think that covers just about all of the different things that we would need within a paywall. So now let's go ahead and jump into sketching. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and draw like a fake phone here. So then we can go ahead and insert. So now we have a fake phone. So we know that we have a few different things. So let's see here, 5 and 6. I'm gonna take these, I'm gonna just paste them in here so now I can reference the notes from my brain writing exercise. I'm gonna increase the font size here, and media list UI, this is like the first thing that I imagine the user would encounter. Then we have a product detail UI. Okay. And then we have a buy UI. Then we have a success UI. And actually I kind of like the idea of keeping, let's group these first. This will make sure that when I don't have issues moving these around in case I need to later on. Okay, so then we need an error UI. And lastly, we need the media detail UI. Okay, perfect. So now let's go ahead and just quickly run through this. And if you are not even sure where to start, it's perfectly okay, and that is a very normal part of the process. Typically, I don't do all of these steps in sequence like this. Sometimes I might need to take a step away and go for a walk and think about what something might look like. So just wanted to give that heads up that I wouldn't expect to just like jump into design and iterate so quickly. Sometimes you can if you have like really strong inspiration. Other times, you know, you might take a few days or even weeks. So just wanted to put that out there. So now here, thinking about a media list UI, I'm thinking about it on the phone specifically. I'm imagining there's like some sort of navigation. So let's put like a little nav bar here. So then we can maybe even add a circle. So we can just drop that in and just make a small little circle. And this is basically like a little avatar is what I imagine. And then when we pull out the marker, I imagine we have some like brand here, maybe some little icons we can drop in there. So we can just, that's as small as it's going to let me go, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's just wireframing. Don't get hung up on the details. The goal is just to get your ideas out on paper. We can always refine later. So then we have like a little header here. Let me do that there. So this is like some big text on the page. Then we might have some like smaller text as a description. In fact, I kind of want to use a different color here. Let's use like a gray or something. So, because like typically that will help symbolize some like hierarchy. So we have like this header that tells the user what it is that they're browsing. That's great. And then we have some description text to support that. So now thinking about like the actual media, like how will we represent media, and how will the user interact with it? So they will actually see like little cards, and the cards are like little squares on the page. So this might have some like text on it. So we'll just do one row. We don't need to, actually we can just duplicate real quick. And then this will allow us to demonstrate. So then these cards have like typically like a little text. Let's put smaller. So then we have like little description text. Okay. Boom, boom. And then we might have some like bigger text here. Alright, great. So now the user knows what they're kind of clicking on. And I think this is good enough. I don't think we need to get too in-depth here. So then this is our media list. So how does the user interact with this? Well, they might click on it, and then let's add some little information. User clicks. Okay. And now, thinking about the product detail page, I'd imagine like it has a lot of the same components available, a nice navigation bar, some boxes, and an avatar. So from there, let's see. So it has the description, it has some description, or I'm sorry, the header and description text. Now, I feel like most of these have some sort of large image. So let's go ahead and put like a fake image here. And then I'm going to make it blue. Okay, great. I'm just going to take that and then push it down. Great. Move this back up. So now we have this nice big image. We have some header text, some description text, maybe like a creator's sort of avatar. So we can go ahead and borrow that. And then we might have like the creator's name here. So we'll go ahead and showcase that. And then most importantly, now if we look at what we have on the right, we have a buy UI. So we need to ask the user to make a purchase. So then we can go ahead and drop this fake button, and we'll just go ahead and move that there. Move this down a little bit, and we can go ahead and click buy. So, boom. Great. So now the user would click this buy button. We'll go ahead and draw an arrow over. So we're telling ourselves how the user is navigating, what they're interacting with. So then with the buy UI, we might have still this information. Maybe we have this here too, but let's shrink the size down just so the user knows that, hey, I'm buying the thing that I want to get. And, you know, like if you don't see this information, then you may not actually end up understanding that the same product that you clicked on is the same product that you're paying for. So it's important to have that continuity with the user. So on this buy UI, we have an image, some text. Maybe we get rid of the description. The user knows what it is that they're buying now. So then we can go ahead and push forward with allowing the user to make the purchase. I know from a lot of interactions with the Lightning Network, the user will likely click a button to pay. So we can go ahead and move this text over. So pay, and behind this button, there's an invoice that the user clicks on to actually complete the payment. So then we can go ahead and show that. Alternatively, they might end up seeing like a QR code. So we can go ahead and mock that up. So a little fake QR code. Let's see. So then we have that. Let's add like a little border around it. And we can add some like small squares or something just to show that it's like a QR code. Okay, great. So there's our fake QR code. So let's say, because they could also scan this and pay it, and most of the time what I'll do as well is like put a little hyperlink with the Lightning URI. So then you can do click pay. Let's say the user actually clicks pay, and then they're going to do some interaction with different wallet software. So this will open something up, and the user will click confirm on their wallet, or if this paywall also has wallet functionality. Maybe it just debits their account. That's also entirely possible. So then let's say the user was successful in their endeavors. So kind of thinking ahead now. Well, if the user could be successful or they could fail in some way. So then we can think about that. I'm going to represent the success with a green line. I'm going to represent the error with the red line. Okay, great. So then we can say, here's purchase. Maybe we bring that back. It may not be the same as this screen's description, but we can maybe have some sort of messaging, and then the user has made their payment. So then now they're able to go ahead and start viewing. And we would think that they're able to go to the media and actually view it. Perhaps you just send them directly to the media. Yeah, we could definitely consider that option. So maybe there's like some cool image here that's like, yay, you did it, you bought it. Now go ahead and get started. And then perhaps we make this red, so then the user knows something's wrong. Then they might want to try again, or maybe reach out to help, like get help or something. Maybe they can reach out to someone, send an email, who knows. So then we have quite a lot designed already. So then I think pretty much, like, let's say this is a blog, so you might have some image here. Then you might have another image, some other information, paragraphs. You just shrink that size. So maybe it looks like something like this. Let's change the color of this. Cool. So then I think this pretty much covers all of the user interface aspects of a paywall. So then let's go ahead and continue going. So here at this stage you could get a bit more granular on the user flows and kind of begin mapping them out. So we could take this sort of UI. So we can call this the media list. And one other thing I kind of like to do is take everything with me as I kind of complete through this journey. So then you don't have to keep like going back and forth. Here, so boom. So now I have everything here with the descriptions. So then we have like the media list, it's like a landing page. And then we have, let's see, is there another one that might look a little bit better? Yeah, I kind of like this one more than this one here. So I'm just going to take that and just place it in there. I'll say it's like product landing UI. And then we need something like this here. This is like buy. Maybe we leave these, and then we can keep that one, or we can change that one actually. So I'm going to go ahead and detach this. That'll kind of allow me some more flexibility. Let's shape this into like a QR code. So buy UI. And now that I think about it, instead of actually having a separate UI, what we could do is just show a notification. So for example, we can just take this sort of thing, and if it's good to go, then maybe we show it's like a green image, and let's make that like Actually, we'll have to do that on the next screen because the user will have to complete their payment first. So let's go ahead and move this over here. And perhaps, likewise, if there's an error, then we show them something red, because I think the error would happen on this screen. Now that I'm kind of starting to play with some more elements here. So that's probably like some error, like alert or something that pops up on the screen if something happens, like let's say the charge or invoice expires. So then we'll go ahead and delete that. And the next step is the user would be shown, let's say like we don't even need the success screen. Maybe that's not actually even necessary. So then we just actually go to show them the content of the page itself. Why design more than what you actually need? So let's just say it's media detail UI. And then maybe we just show them like a little alert that goes away. So then we can just bring that up. So then they know that their purchase was completed instead of having to send them to an additional page. So now we kind of entered some refinement here. And as we kind of progress, there's always iterations and thinking. So now we can start like talking to ourselves a little bit more and saying the user will browse the different media content available to them. The user will make a selection and click on one of the media to learn more. Okay, so then the user learns more about the media and decides to make the purchase. The user clicks the buy button. Okay, so great. The user is shown a UI that contains a way to pay. In this case, it will be a QR code and a button. The user makes a mistake and doesn't pay the invoice within the expiration time, and then it fails. The user refreshes the page, then scans QR code again, and is successful. The user is taken to the media detail UI where they consume the content they like after being shown a notification that their payment was successful. Okay, great. So now we kind of have an idea of the different set of steps that the user is going to take to achieve their goal, which is to purchase content that they're interested in or media that they're interested in. So now we have this, so we can go ahead and take it with us on the next step of our journey. So now we kind of have site mapping here. So site mapping is a way of beginning to think about what sort of permissions that someone might have, if it's public or it requires a membership link, or if there's a way to log in or sign up, or if it takes them out of the page. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So now we know all of the set of UIs. Let's start thinking a little bit deeper about the product itself. So then I don't think this actually needs to have membership whatsoever. So it's all public. And then let's make a decision. So we know that it'll have like a header text. We'll know that it has description text. And then it'll have cards, media cards. That's it. So then that's kind of the home page. And then we have product landing page. product landing UI for consistency. Then we'll have detailed info about the product. Then lastly, we'll have a buy button. Okay, great. Then we have a buy UI, and then we know that it'll have header text, description text, it'll have a QR code, and then a pay button. Then it also might have as well an error post, which is like the little notification that pops up. And then we'll have the media detail UI. So then we'll have this. Maybe we even, let's see, so that can be deleted. This could be deleted. And then we'll have like body/content or media, actual media. So now we kind of have like a high level understanding of like the entire product, and maybe like even start forming this into some sort of hierarchy. So then you can have like at the top level, the home page, then underneath the home page, there is the product landing page. And now that I think about it, if the user's already made the purchase, then they could also like just start at the media detail page. So kind of, this is like one flow, and then if the user already makes the purchase, then they would also need to be able to go to that content and consume it directly. So there's kind of a couple different aspects of it. Maybe we actually need like discover media cards, and then we also need like existing or purchased maybe. Cool. Alright, so now we have all those things available to us. Next we'll actually like get into some more specific information in terms of the product design and the feeling of the product. So I'm going to go ahead and click F, and this will take me to like a list of frames. This is one of the reasons why I really like Figma, is it's so easy and fast to use. I don't really want to design in light mode, or light mode. I kind of like dark mode. Maybe because of the components, I don't want to have to change them all. That'll actually be easier. So, let's think about this. So here we have kind of a logo, some menu items, third, fourth. I think we could actually we could take like a couple of these. Maybe we start with this one, that looks good. Great. So then we know over here we kind of have this reference. This is like what's most important to me right now, even though it might be a little deprecated because of the other decisions I made. We know that we're gonna have a logo. I'm gonna think about like the basic structure of the page first. So we'll have a logo, we'll have here, and this is also not meant to be perfect, so it's just very keep moving things along. So now we have a logo, and then we have some cool navigation items over there, or icons. So we have that. Now what else might they have? So this doesn't have any header information. Let me see if there's some other examples here. Yeah, we can definitely use that paragraph. We know we're going to need that. That can still be useful for the other media page. Well, let's delete most of this. Cool. So we know we're going to have that on the page based on these little squiggly lines. What else could we need? We need the actual size. We know we're going to need this image. Let's go ahead and put that back. We don't need it quite yet, but I know we'll need it for later based on the wireframing that I did earlier. We know we're going to need a button. You can think about, for a button, do we want to show an icon? Yeah, I think so. Why not? So let's go ahead and grab this button. Helps the user understand automatically what it is that they're doing and what the button means. Whenever you have an icon, you can help use that as a tool. Oh, this looks kind of good. Here's a little notification that we were talking about earlier that will help us show the error message or success message. We know we're going to use that for the creator page. So now, like all the other work that we did as a part of wireframing, or I'm sorry, sketching, this is really helpful because this helps us quickly assemble the page and actually like start making our idea very tangible. I like this line. Maybe we could use this as a separator on the by page. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. Whoops. Okay, and then actually let's take this aside too. We can finish designing the remainder of the page and kind of duplicate it, because a lot of it will be similar. Okay. Nothing else really that I'm interested in from that page. We looked at this page. Let's see what this page has. And you can find like this file with all of these things by just searching Figma's community. Oh, and in fact, like here's even like a really nice UI already that's kind of pre-built, but this is more for like wireframing, which we did already using that other template. This is nice for mobile, but we're not really thinking about mobile right now. We can kind of worry about that later. Here's like a bunch of different options that we could have. Could even consider if we do want some sort of like header, like hero header, that greets the user immediately. Okay. These are kind of benefits. Perfect. This is kind of cool. I really like this. It's not like exactly ideal, but this more or less is like a card, what we're looking for. This could even be really good. This is nice. I'm going to take this, actually. And then we need this headline. We could even take this, so then we're even a little bit closer towards higher fidelity. Alright, great. So we can take this quote headline, we can throw it on the page, we can center it by clicking this button. So now we have this header, we have the navigation bar, we have the description text, and then we have some card images. We can kind of position it like that. And we can also group them, so we can right click, and this grouping will allow us to just easily combine them together. Let's do a frame. So then there you go. You're able to begin seeing your page come to life. We can perhaps degroup, which will stop this multi-selection. Maybe we have like a nice image, make it span more of the width. Then we could just have like multiple lines. And we can do like a little button. So where's that button at? And it's just buy. So now this is like really starting to take shape. And if you're not understanding like all the different things that I'm clicking on in Figma, that's okay. I'm gonna actually share with you a course that will like walk you through Figma as itself, as a tool itself, as well as more about user experience and UI design or product design. So let's see. So now that we have this going, that's good. So the user would click on one of these cards or images. They'd be taken to this page where they would learn more about the product. Then they would need the buy page, which we said would be like a QR code. I'm going to go to my Zebedee account. I'm actually going to take my QR code here as like a placeholder. Go ahead and pull that up. Meanwhile, while my browser's loading, actually just to make sure we're not slowed down, I'm just going to use this image to represent a QR code. And then this is pretty simple. We can just increase the size of this button to the left. We gotta detach this first, I think. That's a way of making things really reusable and easy. Yeah, I don't know how to edit this button, so I'm just going to abandon that. It's going to take me too long. We know that we have this basic information about the product, and we know that there needs to be a QR code and there needs to be a buy button. I think this is pretty clear on what the goal is. So then if we have an error, so this is what the error will look like. So we need some sort of notification that will pop off if there's an error. And then now the last thing, the design is actually the article itself or the media itself with the success. So now we have this big gigantic image, and then we have all this extra text like we showed earlier in our sketch. So we can go ahead and make this real. Boom. That's what it could look like. And then now we need another notification that their purchase was successful. And one last screen. Let me give this a little bit more space here. And then lastly, the user would achieve their goal. So let's go ahead and do a prototype and kind of just walk through this real quick. So then I'm going to click on prototype. This is what this is going to allow me to do, is actually experience this as if it was like a real web application. So now I'm kind of assembling that. So we could even do some animation if we want. And then map this out. So if the user wants to buy, they would click buy. But what if they want to go back? Actually, now that I think about it, like we need a back button. I like that idea. So we can want to, like, let's say the user doesn't want to actually buy this. Maybe they just want to like go back to looking at media. So then we need the back button. We can delete this. We can have them take it back to like the other home page, or I'm sorry, the media list UI. And let's say they can either like click buy, or they can click on this QR code and complete the purchase. And then we can show this alert, and then we can say, even after like some time, let's say like two seconds, that just goes away. Okay. And then I don't really, yeah, we could, I guess. We could show an additional flow in case we wanted to show. Yeah, we could show that. Need one more here. And then, so then, let's say they get taken to this screen, and then let's say like 10 minutes passes or something or 6 minutes, and the charge is only good for 5 minutes, so then it just expires. So then we can show that alert or something that they have to refresh the page. So then we can start here. This is like where the flow is starting. So here's like the success, and then here's like the failure. So let's go ahead and take a look at like what our wireframes are looking like. We've made so much progress in such a short period of time. All right, great. So this is starting to look really real, but for some reason our navigation bar isn't showing up. Why is that? So let's get back here. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. So it's actually in here, but it's not showing for some reason. I don't know why. Let's make sure. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. Let's not worry about it. It's not that important for this. So then showing quote, thinking about like the actual text. So then it takes us to the next page. Then we can see the product information. Okay. We click buy, and then the page changes. I don't really like the animation, gonna be honest with you all, but we can always design it differently on the next flow. Just something to think about. Then click buy, and then it showed this alert, and it was completed. But I wonder like what this actually looks like now. Like between the user clicking that purchase or buy, like what could that actually look like? So I'm gonna go ahead and take some screenshots really quick, and then I'm gonna show here what that might look like, just in terms of a flow. So let's see. Okay. This is pretty much what it would look like. So then the user has this like little pop-up. This is like some other, this is one of our software or products called the Zebedee browser extension. So then you can kind of see what the set of steps the user is going through. Maybe we don't actually need like this page. We can just kind of showcase it a little bit. So then there's that. And then if they click and they buy it, then they're shown like a success screen. So, because like once they confirm that the payment is successful, they'll see it in their browser extension itself. And then the payment's successful. Okay, cool. Then I will share my screen as well. So then you can kind of see, okay. So then we know this is like the other things that the user, this is allowing us to empathize with the user and see they click on the QR code or the button, this pops up, they click submit payment or confirm payment, and then the payment's successful. Our application understands, yeah, this was good to go. So then now we show this notification like, yeah, you're able to buy this thing, and then now they're able to like view their content, which is great. And then if it doesn't go through, then they kind of have this intermediate step. Like if the payment fails and this expires, maybe they lose their internet connection, all sorts of things like that. So now let's imagine what that sort of set of steps looks like. So then they go here, they click buy, then it changes to the next page, and then they're like, then 8 minutes passes or whatever the time we said, then they're shown an alert, and then that alert kind of pops up there and stays there. So now we kind of have exactly what the desktop would look like. We could start thinking about mobile and designing for that experience as well and transforming this. I don't think we really need to do this at this stage, so I'm just going to keep moving. And now that I kind of have like my final sets of UI, I'm going to begin constructing high fidelity UIs, and this is pretty much my entire storyboard here. So I'm just going to take this with me. Everything else can also be taken with you if you want, but I'm just going to take this. So I'm just going to create a new page. I found this design system also searching on Figma's community. So all of the things that I'm using right now inside of Figma are all free. Figma, I think itself might cost money if you want to use a team, but I think you can actually register and get access to all these things entirely free. So we can call this paywall, and then we can go ahead and drop this in. All right, great. Now we kind of have a reference point, and I'm going to kind of create some space for myself because I'm going to design these actual UIs with how I want them to look in my interface. So then I can kind of take this here, I'm going to delete it all. We start with a blank canvas. Perfect. So now we know exactly which components that we want to take with us. So now we can kind of go through here. We have typography. So we have, okay, so we kind of know the different type styles with the headings. Okay, so we have all of these different styles. So we have headings. This kind of helps us out. We have body text. And we have some visuals. Cool. So maybe we take some of these images with us so then we can get that. Okay, so we have quite a few there. We have 1, 2, let's drop these into our actual paywall. So we need one more, I think, yeah. Now I'm kind of just doing the same thing that I did earlier. I'm just walking through and beginning to take shape with the actual look and feel. And oh, look, we actually have a media card. Perfect. So this is exactly what I was imagining. So these sort of things are super helpful. And now I'll go ahead and take that. And this can appear overwhelming, but as you use them more and more, it gets easier and easier. So then we can delete that. Let's look for a navigation. Yeah, navigations, boom. So they give you some nice mobile options. Let's see if they have desktop. Bottom, header. So I'm not seeing anything there. So I'm gonna go back to the community and I'll just search for Bootstrap. Bootstrap is another UI kit that was built by Twitter. So we can go ahead and find one. So this is pretty much what I do if I run into a roadblock or I realize, I don't have something that I need. I'll just start searching for it. So can't ever go wrong with Bootstrap. It's maybe not the most sophisticated design nowadays, but it gets the job done. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. So we can go ahead and get a copy. Okay, here's the navigation bar that I was looking for. Let's do purple, and then I would like to go back here. paywall page. Let's go ahead and paste this. Okay. And resize to like the exact dimensions that we need. We're on the home stretch. We don't have search designed for, so we can go ahead and just delete this. So we know we need this navigation bar. Oh, this is gross. Disgusting. we don't play with that here. So then we can make a font selection. So some of my favorite fonts are Enter, and then we actually had like that whole components list. So maybe we use like heading 1, and we use like semi-bold. Let's see. I'm not sure why this is not letting me transform this. Perhaps if I put some text here, welcome. Yeah, and then we go over here. This is heading 1. Okay, or heading. So then we can say, welcome to the world of tomorrow. One of my favorite Futurama quotes. Then we can go ahead and start thinking about some of the copy that we'd like to use. We don't need any more heading text. What we kind of need is description text, so we can use regular, that looks clean. We can say, check out the media that we have to offer you. I'm really bad at writing product copy, so don't get your product copy from me. And if you're interested, you can also like begin thinking about or looking at different inspiration out there for product design. There's a bunch of different sites like Dribble that all are super clean and helpful. So then we can get lots of design inspiration. So we can add like an auto layout, and then we can actually just duplicate this. So this allows me to like get things perfectly situated right away. And then I probably want like to just play around with the spacing. So give each card like plenty of space. We always do increments of 4, so that looks pretty good. We can have that all centered. So I think this is starting to take shape. So Santos, we'll call it Santos. We'll just call the company that. And then we really don't need a navigation bar, I don't think. So let's go ahead and just delete it. Or not navigation bar, like navigation links, I mean. And then we can go ahead and get some avatars. So kind of just showcase that to the user, like they're logged in or something. If you want to design a login page, you definitely can. Alright, and then we can see by holding down Alt, that's about 18 pixels away. So we can design for that. There we go. Now this is really starting to come to life. So then we have this. Let's put this maybe 60 pixels. Alright, this is starting to feel quite a lot like a real paywall application for media. So then we go here. We can copy this over. We know this will be on every single page. So we know we'll have this. Let's see if they give us any free examples. So, oh, this is garbage. Sorry to show you this. Let's see. Okay, so grid layout system. So we can say product landing page and see what we get back. Okay, pretty similar to what we're designing. Just kind of research and see. Let me try a different term, product detail page. This looks pretty good. This gives us a pretty decent example right here, what that might look like. So we can show over here on the right side some information. Perhaps we take this image so there's continuity. Then let's go ahead and move this over here. Check the spacing. There we go. And let's add a bit more text. Perhaps at this step right here, we start truncating the text. Let's see, let's go back to the community. So they have some other different things down here I don't think we need to worry about. We can check a wireframe, looks fine. We know that we want to have like some sort of back button to allow the user to get back. This has two icons, so I'm not exactly that happy with it. Let's see if we can find, here we go, button text. Maybe we can just move that over now. It doesn't have auto layout. So I'm just gonna move forward with this for now. And then I'll just design my own button. That'll be fine. So then maybe we have this nice big like buy now button. And then let's make that 40 height so it's in increments of 4. Then we can go ahead and use nice purple. And then we can go ahead and drop some text in. So buy, we already have the right button, text selected. We can go ahead and use auto layout and perfectly position the text. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fix the sizing. Boom. Okay, perfect. So now these are perfectly spaced. We have it aligned. And I actually like the idea of grouping it like this. So then we can go ahead and put it right in the center. Cool. Maybe add a little bit more spacing between these items. And I kind of like the idea of rounding these, giving a little bit more shape. Click buy. Oh, yeah, so something I forgot. Perhaps other useful information is the person that actually created this. So another thing you could even consider adding is like a profile page, because then if you click this, then where's the user going to be taken to? So now we can, let's go ahead and group this. So then it just deals with one block. Group this. Actually, just group these all together. Do auto layout and perfectly space it, so then we can do 24 pixel by pixel. So we have the title, the image, we have a title, we have this nice text, and then we have the creator that made it. Henya, very cool creator. And then we can go ahead and group this and then perfectly center it on the page. It's not looking too bad at all. not for an hour worth of work. So then now you have this, and based on like this interaction, we have this text. Let's put it up here. Let's center it perfectly. And then it's 96 increments of 4, I believe. And let me go ahead and get a QR code. So I'll just borrow one from myself. I'm going to go to my site and get my zebedee.gg QR code to use here. So there it is. You can go ahead and drop it in. You can leave the spacing at 92. You can take our same button, or 96 I mean. We can put our button right in the center. We can hit pay. And then we know now we're gonna either have like an error message, and then from there we're gonna have the final UI, which is this one over here. Okay. We're gonna have these sort of interactions in the browser itself. So maybe we even mock that up, what that could look like. There's like, imagine there's a browser sort of top, like a tab. It's creating more space. Great. Then let's go ahead and take our same image. Make that an even number. We can always align it to the grid afterwards. We need the navigation bar. Alright, cool. Then maybe we make this fully expansive. Well, perhaps we center the text like this. Great, that's looking solid. Let's grip that a little tighter. And now here we have like a heading. So now let's take the same heading but start constructing like a block style format. So this will actually be left aligned. Some paragraph. And we always want to kind of have some like hierarchy here. So perhaps we make this like a heading 4. We could do heading 3. Let's try that out and see what it looks like. Yeah, that looks clean enough. There's still like a distinguishable hierarchy. And this is a couple pixels off. We can go ahead and ship that. Now they're able to see it. We need one more UI with an actual alert, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the screen. Let's see if they have some sort of alert here. Tooltip, radio button. No, they don't have that. I know Bootstrap will though. Bootstrap has some nice ideas of cards as well. And here's like a little alert we could use. And here's both. So green typically is used for indicating some sort of success. Okay, let's take this. And we definitely want it to be present, the viewport, so maybe we do it like right here. And I kind of even like the idea of bolding the text. Your purchase was successful. Keep everything nice and aligned. Oh, whoops. And then we know that we could have this error case down here. We'll align it to the grid short soon enough. Your invoice has expired. Computer's running a little slow. I think I have too many things open. Okay, so that pretty much covers the entire paywall. If we wanted to, we could also like design this in mobile as an example. So with this, with auto layout, kind of makes it really easy. So then you can just change this over. So we can drag this out. Voila, we could reduce the spacing in between each item. Perhaps we do 24, and then instead of 160 pixels, we do 16 pixels. 16 pixels. Then we can just press F. I'm going to design it for like an iPhone X. I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, that's fine. We can move over, do sort of navigation, and just drag it all the way in, and then fix the spacing on that. Borrow this. I don't know what happened to my avatar, but we can just drop it in. And detach it so that we can put it in the frame. Okay, great. Also align this. Now it's 20 pixels, 20 pixels. Very nice. So we kind of have that going for us. We know that we need this text. So this text is a little bit too large for mobile, so we can maybe drop down here to the sizing. Voila. Okay, cool. So now we kind of have our mobile app taking shape. There we go. So there's the first mobile version. It's pretty fast. You can just take from this component, we know you need to shrink that down. We know we need an image here. We can think typically with mobile, you just make the images stack or a content stack. Cool, that looks good. Let me know for this UI. We have pretty much most of what we need here. So we can just delete this image. And delete this. And change this to pay. We need a QR code. Increment of 4. Perfect. This is going down really nice and smooth. So then we know we need to show an error version, which we can take the same alert. Perhaps we optimize it for mobile, where we show the full width. Auto layout, and voila, the invoice expired. And then lastly, we just have one more page to go. Here we could also get screenshots from like a mobile wallet, like the Zebedee app. That could work too. So then we could take this text. I think it would be easier just to change this to the fixed width. You know that it's centered up there. You know we have this image. And it's displayed in that way. It's underneath it this time. We know that we have these two pieces of text that we can add. I know that these are way too long. And we want that left aligned. And maybe we change this to regular. Yeah, very nice. And this is also too large. We use heading 4. Maybe we use heading 6 here. It's not a science. Just play around and see what looks good to you. Test it in the prototype modes. So I think that pretty much wraps up most of our application. So we have this little toast that we need to account for. Maybe we gotta keep the positioning consistent. We can detach it. Probably would have been better if I made a duplication prior to doing this, because now I'll need to delete this again. Boom. Okay, so now we have like a full paywalled application. Let's go ahead and just like clean this all up. Whoops. Now that we have these designed, I'm going to separate these into 2 files. Oh yes, we can check the grid too and do some quick resizing. Alright, great. So now we have this set up. Let's see if this gives us a grid that we can just, yeah, we have it. Cool. So yeah, our grid looks pretty solid. We can change this here. Perfectly fit. Maybe we expand this out. Cool, that looks good. So this grid just helps us make sure that everything is appropriately spaced. So this is just kind of like final design type of thing. Making everything perfectly aligned and spaced. Let's go ahead and move this down here and get right in the center of the user's attention. This could probably use some sort of auto layout here. Nice. Perfect. So then we can group these together. Auto layout. Let's do 32 pixels. Give plenty of room. Perfect. Remove the grid. Let's go ahead and increase the size here. You don't have to like exactly follow the grid. I'm just choosing to. So then that's slightly too large. Maybe I just didn't have it spaced correctly. Okay, I'm going to make it 40 pixels still. Boom. So now I can group these two items. Perfectly spaced. Now we can do a little auto layout magic. Perfect. 28 pixels, let's say. No, let's do, did we do 28 over here? 32. Let's do 32. Yeah, room. Let's drag this down right here at the top. We can go ahead and delete this. We have the perfect spacing. Go ahead and delete this grid. We gotta center the alert. Make sure it's in the appropriate grid location. Perfect. See, we're slightly off. Okay, now that this is all good. Group this, do auto layout, keep it 8. We'll do this, auto layout, keep it 8. And then now we can do the grouping here, or we can do maybe like 16. And that'll give plenty of space between each item. And we just did auto layout for this. So now we pretty much have like the entire piece of content and completed. So now this is like a high fidelity, perfectly spaced product that you could ship. Now let's go ahead and test this out. Do our prototype again. We'll pretend the payment just goes through successfully. And then we just need a little bit of delay for the alert to go away. Do 2000 milliseconds. And now let's go ahead and check out our prototype. While we're doing that, we could also do the same here in terms of the grid. I don't know if this UI kit comes with the grid. This is my first time using it. So then you can click this, it takes you to the next page. You click buy, then you could click the QR code or you can hit pay. I'm going to pretend I click pay. It allows me to go through the flow of the wallet, for example the Zebedee app, click pay. And then you see the notification here, it goes away, and now you're able to actually access your content. And if we wanted to take it even one step further for showing our stakeholders what this might look like, we can show here, like this really cool looking phone type of thing. Alright, I did it on the wrong screen, sorry. Device, say iPhone 10, let's reload this. And this is how you do product design from start to finish, essentially. I know that this doesn't cover all of the specific cases in terms of like how to use this. Oh, one thing that we forgot was actually the iOS bar. So I didn't think about that when I was initially designing this. So we could go and grab this. I'm not going to do it. You can find them on the Figma community, paste it, and then move all these different things down. Totally feasible. Just depends on like how you want to approach it, but that takes sketching from start to finish. Now, getting back to closing out the presentation, if you thought this whole exercise was interesting and you liked the sort of work, the approach, the problems that you could be solving, and the way that you would be solving them, I'm entirely self-taught, and I pretty much learned this all on my own, and I did it through this course. So if you scan this QR code, this will actually take you to like $13 or $14 course that you can buy and learn this entire process and tool by a much better instructor than I am, and get started with a career in product design. I find this to be some of my most enjoyable work and fun things that I do. And I even just build stuff, like I'll design slide decks like this one, and just have some fun with it. You can design decision trees. There's pretty much no limit to your creativity once you learn how to use this tool and sort of process. It'll take you to places that you never thought about before. So I highly encourage you. It's a very empowering skill to learn, so I highly encourage you to go out and learn it. And if you want to connect with me, these are my socials. You can find my other additional social. You can send me a payment at my Lightning address here. You can scan the QR code and pay that way. And if you want to find my Twitter, you can go to zdd.gg/Santos and you'll find my Twitter link, which is the same as my Twitch username. Thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you all have a wonderful night or day, whatever time it is there.